Hello, everyone, and I'll let Geraldine take the floor.
Yes, thanks, Andrea. Hello, everybody. I wish you a very nice evening. I hope everybody is going well. So we are very happy to have tonight this discussion panel on mostly the private sector and to see how is it working. You will have different people. You will be able to ask any kind of question. So we are starting in English. The people speaking will speak in English or in French, depending how they are confident in the different languages. And for the Menti, if you have questions, don't hesitate to raise the hand to take to speak up, or to put your question in the chat in French or in English, as you prefer. So we will have 5 different people speaking tonight. Maya Bendifela will arrive a little bit later at 6:30, but we will start with 4 of the person. So I will let them introduce themselves. It will be probably better than if I do myself. So, and I want to thank all the participants, and I want especially to thank Sophie, Frédéric, and Anne-France coming from Rotary Club, because we have a partnership between Femmes et France and Sciences et Femmes et Sciences and the Rotary Club. So we are very happy. It's the second year, almost the third year we are interacting with them. And so it's very nice to have professionals coming also to interact. And tonight we have Serge Muller, a mentor for the last 3 years with us in the program. We did his entire career in the private sector, so it will be also very interesting. So I let you on the floor, and I don't know who want to start.
Oh, okay, I can go. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Quickly about me. My name is Frédéric. I've been working all my career with US firm. I started with American Express, having several roles in sales, marketing, product. Then I moved to consulting to EY, and then I moved back to payment, and I moved to Visa, where I stayed 16 years, and same, different level with different role in sales, product, marketing in France, in Europe, and across EMEA as well. So very happy to help. And as you know, Geraldine mentioned, it's a pleasure for us at Rotary to be in this partnership. And it's always a pleasure to help you, to support you. And please be open, be direct, ask your question in French, in English, and we'll do our best to help.
Hello, everybody. I'm Sophie. I currently work for a bank company, a cooperative bank. I used to have all my career after business school in banks or services around banking and beyond banking, like data processing, like marketing, like relationship marketing. And I also have a different level of function in marketing, in sales, in data processing. And I am very happy to answer to your question about life in the private company. And don't hesitate to ask me any question you want.
Perhaps we can continue with women. Sorry, Serge.
Okay.
And we go with Anne-France, and after Serge, you will be the next one.
Ok, donc moi je m'appelle Anne-France Lucas, je suis un ancien DRH, j'ai été DRH pendant une trentaine d'années dans des entreprises françaises, spécialisées dans les relations sociales, donc dans les relations avec les partenaires sociaux, les syndicats. Directeur des relations sociales de la FNAC, puis DRH d'Yves Saint-Laurent Beauté, YSL Beauté, DRH de Conforama, et j'ai une expérience en supply chain. Et depuis une douzaine d'années, je dirige un cabinet en management social qui réunit l'ensemble des partenaires sociaux, puisque j'ai des consultants qui sont d'anciens syndicalistes et j'ai des consultants qui sont d'anciens RH. Et mes clients sont de très grosses entreprises françaises dans le parapublic ou dans le public, et également des entreprises internationales basées en France, hein, plus ou moins grandes, hein, mais qui couvrent à peu près tout le tissu économique qui peut exister sur notre territoire. Donc, ravi également de pouvoir répondre à vos questions et peut-être faire sauter des verrous qui empêchent les gens d'aller où ils ont envie d'aller.
Super, super. Merci Anne-France.
So good afternoon,
Yeah.
I'm Serge Muller. So I have a PhD in physics, applied physics and image processing. I started working after my PhD thesis at CGR. It was a company held by Thomson at that time, so it went to be acquired by GE Healthcare. So I spent my whole career at GE Healthcare finally, and I'm retired since 2 years from GE Healthcare. I'm still working 1 day per week at Gustave Roussy to help research. And I spend all my time at GE Healthcare in applied research, mainly in women health. And I was chief scientist for women health. I also have some IFSBM, so IFSBM is Institut Formation Supérieure en Biomédical, and I'm leading a module of training for people to help them to understand how to go into the academic or the private domain when working in health, in fact, in healthcare.
Sorry, may I ask a question? Is there any reason for having only black screen and nobody without face in order to speak and to interchange?
No, yeah, everybody's welcome to turn on their cameras for a discussion that might make it a bit more open. Yeah.
It's more sympathetic.
Okay,
Please, and thank you very much.
it's coming. Thank you.
Perhaps first there is a question in the chat about to know if you have a PhD and in which subject, which field, for Sophie, Anne-France, and Frédéric. I'm not sure you have a PhD. You did probably other type of studies like MBA or something, but can you tell us exactly what path and what did you do?
Me, I study in a business school, so I'm graduate, equivalent of a master in a business school, and then later on I did a kind of MBA, but internal MBA with the company, so a bit specific.
It's the same thing for me. It's business school, master in business and general management, and in addition, master in financial services after 10 years in
Moi,
my
je-
bank.
Moi, je suis juriste de formation, j'ai fait des neurosciences, des études de coach et de médiateur.
Oui, c'est très diversifié, Anne-France, du coup.
Ouais, super
Le
profil.
DRH sur 360 degrés, on va dire.
So as you can see, not everybody has a PhD, but it's true that here we are also directing the discussion with people from private sector, not only in scientific sector, because you need to have soft skills to go to the private sector, which will not be specific to science, which can be applied in economics, in law, in science, in whatever sector you will go. So it's why it's an open discussion and not only with people holding a PhD. So
And if I can go further, sorry, further on what you say, and I switch on French, sorry. Comme dans n'importe quelles études, qu'elles soient business, PhD, droit, etc., on part du principe que vous avez votre diplôme, que vous savez, mais on apprend son métier sur le terrain dans l'entreprise. Et chaque entreprise a un temps de formation et va vous apprendre. C'est pas parce qu'on sort d'une business school qu'on sait gérer une entreprise. C'est pas parce qu'on a un PhD qu'on trouve le vaccin contre le cancer. C'est pas parce qu'on est ingénieur qu'on fabrique le Concorde. Donc tout ça, c'est la raison pour laquelle, c'est comme ça que j'ai compris le partenariat avec Femmes et Sciences. Vous attendez parce que vous connaissez, parce que vous avez démontré des compétences extrêmes, vous avez vos diplômes, vous avez réussi, vous recherchez les budgets, vous gérez les projets, vous allez chercher les budgets, etc. Qu'est-ce qu'on fait, nous, en entreprise? On va chercher des budgets, on défend nos idées, on passe des bosses, on avale des couleuvres quand on nous arrête notre projet ou notre recherche. C'est exactement ce que vous savez faire. Alors, je vais direct to the point, comme on dit en bon français, et je vous dis d'ores et déjà que c'est ça que recherche une entreprise. Le reste, son core business, en bon français encore, elle vous l'apprendra. Elle vous l'apprendra parce que GE, c'est différent de BPCE, c'est différent de Visa, c'est différent de Carrefour. On vous l'apprendra et vous l'apprendrez d'autant plus facilement que vous avez déjà cette force de travail que vous avez démontrée, cette capacité à gérer vos budgets, vos ennuis, vos équipes. Et après, que ça se passe dans le public ou dans le privé, c'est à peu près la même chose.
Alors, juste parce qu'il y avait Laurie qui levait la main depuis un moment, je sais pas, et Anne-France qui a levé la main, juste pour savoir, Laurie, est-ce que is it a question related to this point? Yes. Or, so in this case, can I give the microphone to Anne-France and after we will go back to Laurie? Because I assume that Anne-France is linked to the discussion, this one.
Ok, merci beaucoup. Je vais dans le même sens, hein, effectivement, de ce qui a été dit aujourd'hui. Il faut que vous relativisiez quand vous rentrez dans une entreprise ou dans la fonction publique. Vous allez y rentrer pour des compétences. Vous allez y rentrer parce que vous avez une personnalité, parce que vous savez faire énormément de choses en dehors même, hein, de votre cœur de métier ou de votre diplôme. Au bout de 5 à 7 ans, votre diplôme, il est quasiment périmé. Donc, en toute hypothèse, c'est un bon passeport de démarrage, mais ce n'est pas forcément ce que les recruteurs recherchent. Comme l'a très bien dit Sophie, un recruteur, il va chercher une capacité d'adaptation, il va chercher une capacité d'innovation, il va chercher une volonté de faire avancer les choses dans une équipe et bien évidemment un certain nombre de compétences techniques. Mais on sait très bien que les jeunes qui arrivent sur le marché ont l'impression de savoir énormément de choses et ils savent énormément de choses, heureusement, mais ce n'est pas forcément des personnes qui vont être tout de suite opérationnelles parce que le monde de l'entreprise ou même le monde du service public est un monde qui change en permanence. Donc moi, si j'ai un conseil à vous donner, c'est de vous poser la question de qu'est-ce que j'aimerais faire et qu'est-ce que je n'aimerais pas faire. Et il faut que ça, ce soit très très clair dans vos têtes. Je prends un exemple qui va s'illustrer. J'ai fait de l'anglais comme tout le monde jusqu'au bac. J'ai travaillé 2 ans en anglais chez YSL Beauté, mais je n'aime pas parler anglais. Donc, je n'ai jamais mis sur mon CV que je parlais anglais et je ne parle jamais anglais parce que je n'aime pas faire ça. Voilà, et c'est pas grave. C'est pas grave. Alors, c'est grave si vous voulez rentrer dans une compagnie internationale, bien évidemment. Mais du coup, je ne suis jamais rentré dans une compagnie internationale parce que c'était quelque part rédhibitoire. Mais ce qui est
C'est mieux pour les
important,
syndicats, c'est mieux pour
c'est
négocier
mieux.
que les syndicats,
Non, les
absolument.
syndicats, ils parlent que français, tu le sais très bien.
Voilà, absolument.
Pour les syndicats, il n'y a pas de problème. Mais ce qui est
Ouais, ouais.
important, ce que je veux vous dire, c'est ne cherchez pas à vous construire une image pour votre recruteur ou pour l'entreprise. Sachez qui vous voulez être et gardez ces valeurs et cet équilibre général parce que c'est là où vous serez bon et c'est là où vous serez convaincant.
Avant de donner la parole à Laurie, je voudrais rajouter quelque chose là-dessus. Je pense que c'est extrêmement important ce que tu viens de dire. Et je pense qu'effectivement, c'est une transaction, avoir un emploi dans le privé en particulier. C'est une transaction entre quelqu'un qui offre un service, donc vous en particulier, doctorant qui allez être diplômé, et entreprise qui cherche quelqu'un d'autre et il faut que ça matche. Il faut absolument, il faut pas se forcer à rentrer dans une entreprise parce que si vous le faites et si l'entreprise se trompe en vous recrutant, donc grosso modo, dans quelques mois, ça va pas aller et vous allez vous séparer. Une chose qui est aussi importante à mon sens, vous êtes toutes et tous doctorants, enfin toutes doctorantes, j'imagine. Il faut que vous intégriez le fait qu'avec un doctorat, vous avez un avantage par rapport à quelqu'un qui a un master ou un diplôme d'ingénieur. Vous avez passé 3 ans à résoudre un problème complexe, à regarder un espace de recherche qui est compliqué, et c'est quelque chose que vous allez pouvoir valoriser quand vous serez dans n'importe quelle entreprise. Donc, être capable de s'accrocher à un sujet pendant plusieurs années et être capable de faire le bilan de tout ce qui se fait de mieux dans ce domaine-là pour pouvoir tirer quelque chose de nouveau par rapport à ça. Et ça, je pense que c'est quelque chose que vous devez avoir en tête quand vous avez un doctorat en poche.
Sachez que c'est important, là, ce que vient de nous dire Serge. Moi, c'est ce que je pense de vous depuis le début. Vous êtes impressionnante par rapport à des gens comme nous, enfin, je parle pour moi, hein, qui n'avons pas de PhD. Sachez que pour un recruteur, vous êtes, je ne vais pas dire l'élite, mais vous avez une force de travail qui a été démontrée, certifiée par un diplôme qui montre déjà qu'il n'a pas à se préoccuper de ça, normalement. Il met de côté, ça y est. Elle, c'est une super bosseuse, elle y arrive. Et elle est très intelligente. Par contre, c'est tout le reste, tout ce qu'on vient de dire, c'est votre savoir-être, votre envie et votre capacité d'adéquation avec ce qu'ils cherchent. Donc, il n'y a pas de complexe à avoir. Vous êtes là déjà sur une très haute marche. Par contre, il faut acquérir le reste.
Et je rajouterai un petit élément, c'est que vous arrivez en ce moment sur le marché du travail, qui est un marché du travail tendu, où on a du mal à recruter. On a du mal à recruter. Il y a énormément de mes clients qui n'arrivent pas à recruter de bonnes compétences. C'est pour ça qu'il est important que vous sachiez ce que vous avez envie de faire, parce que le poste idéal, il n'existe pas, ni pour vous, et le candidat idéal, il n'existe pas pour l'entreprise. Et aujourd'hui, vous n'êtes pas en soumission par rapport à un recruteur, vous êtes d'égal à égal par rapport à ce recruteur. Il faut qu'il arrive à vous convaincre comme vous devez chercher à le convaincre.
Merci beaucoup. Je vais quand même laisser la parole à Laurie pour qu'elle pose sa question. Merci à tout le monde d'avoir interagi et avoir rajouté des compléments à la réponse initiale.
I will speak in English for the PhD students that don't speak French. I have many questions, so I will start by one, and then maybe I will raise the hand again because I have many questions. Every time people speak about business, etc., they always speak about the fact that we are searching for soft skills, and I do get this point. But me, as a PhD, I did 3 years in a topic that I like and that I want to continue. So actually, in a business, I would like to find something in research and development that fits to the type of field I like, even if it's not exactly my PhD topic, but a field that is super close and that I do really like. And I wanted to ask you some advices to find these kinds of offers, because the thing is that most of the time I've got the impression that the businesses are searching for these soft skills, but I'm not looking for a manager job or a project staff job or whatever. I'm searching for a research job in a business, and I really would like to know how to get it. And also, we see a lot of researchers that are there for years and years in academia. And I would really like to know if it's actually possible to do this in a business, because I always hear the fact of having to grow in the business. And actually, me, I don't feel the need to grow in the business. I just feel the need to have my little stuff somewhere and to do my research and to like it and to be useful for the business. But I don't feel the need of growing. So I would like to know if it's something mandatory or these kinds of point of view. And maybe I will ask all my questions so that you can answer everything. Then I have some questions about postdocs in business, like how do we get a postdoc in business? Does it exist? Does the CIFRE contract that exists for PhD exist also for postdoc? And like, if we choose to do a postdoc in academia, would the business have more difficulties to want to take us than if we are from PhD? I have many questions, but these were only questions.
I don't know, Serge, perhaps you are one of the best to know. I have a question for Laurie before. In which field are you working at the moment in your PhD? Physics, okay.
So yeah, it sounds familiar to me. So you have to do your own business research. When I talk about business research, it means you need to identify the different companies working in the field in your field of interest. So of course you have internet now, it will help a lot. You need to determine if you want to go everywhere around the world, if you are ready to do that, or if you want to stay in France only. So, and then you should identify all the companies with activities that fit your wishes. Maybe one additional advice I can tell you is use LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a network where you can be in contact with people already in companies that may be of interest to you. And don't hesitate to contact people and to talk with them to ask, okay, can you describe what you are doing in this company? Can we do effectively research and development for years? How does it work? And talk with people who already are in the companies you identified. You can, in some company, and it was my case, do only technology. I spent 37 years in doing applied research. Some managers ask me, okay, you should move in different functions because it's better for you. And those people were quit the company, let's say, before me, and I spent 37 years doing research, and I finished being a chief scientist in this company. So you can do everything you want. And in 10 years, you will not be the same person. So maybe you will also ask to do something else. But if you want to continue doing research, identify the right company for you. For that, it exists. And I don't have any experience in postdoc in private company, but it's possible to have postdoc in private companies. It's pretty rare. But in my opinion, if you find a company developing applications in your field of expertise, you'll be happy with that, and you have no need to do postdoc, in my opinion.
Thank you very much, Serge. There is Ariane raising the hand. Ariane, who is one of our mentors. So perhaps you have some good advice, Ariane, to give to the mentee.
Yeah, indeed, I'm a mentor. So I do not have a PhD, but I worked in private in various companies when I've been in close contact with scientists. So the question of Laurie really raised my interest, of course. And I completely agree with what Serge mentioned. And actually, my husband is a physicist, so I also do understand the topic and the interest and the interest of interaction, and also with private work, especially that's possible in the US in physics. So depending on your topic, of course, but so the knowledge I know is that in nuclear physics, that's possible, for example. So there can be people that are switching from private to public and so on, because in US these are temporary contract, so no long-term contract as we can have in France. But what I would come back on Laurie's point regarding her interest to stay in the field and to not grow, and it's really raised my interest, because then the question is staying in the field and not evolving looks like you want to stay quiet in your corner. So then the question is, I would challenge a little bit Laurie, saying, why do you want to work in private? why do you want to work in these sectors? I mean, that's a question for everyone, because as the first speaker says, you're proposing something to an offer to a recruiter, and the recruiter is looking for you. But you have to explain why. So just think about why you want to have this position. And if you're not interested to develop or to grow in the scale, I would fully agree with Serge. You don't know who you will be in 10 years. So just be clear on why you want to stay quiet for the moment, because for a recruiter, and I've been looking for young people in the past, I would wonder why. Is it because you want to dig in your topic? Is it because, and I'm challenging everyone on that, is it because you're afraid? Because you don't want to grow? And there is also a kind of a shift in generation here, because in private company, we are most of the time in a culture of growth, development, and evolution, and especially in older generation. But I do know that for younger people, they prefer to stay and dig, and they're not interested, for example, in management for now. So you have to explain why. And also here, if the position will evolve, that's one question you can ask during an interview, for example, about the perspective. So that's also you to be clear exactly how you present, what's your message, what's your positioning, and maybe not think about all your life and all your career in one interview for now.
If I can add a little bit on this, I totally agree with you. It's you start your career after the PhD, it's a kind of higher level of diploma you can obtain anyway. So after, probably you will go to work as postdoc or with a real job in a public or private sector, whatever. But you don't know what you will want to do in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years anyway. So go with what you want at the beginning, and you will see how stuff will evolve. I'm biologist, so I don't know a lot in physics or other field. What I know, it's you have some postdoc fellowship with Marie Curie, European fellowships, and before they were giving only fellowships to go as postdoc everywhere in the world. Now, since several years, they have an opening for fellowships in collaboration with private sector. And I think it's in every kind of field. I'm almost sure it's not only in biology. It's if you are a physicist, if you are a mathematician or whatever, if you find a company. So for the last 2 years, the call was open in September. So I assume this year will be the same, but you can have a look on the Marie Curie fellowship website just to see if there is already information, or perhaps the information from last year, and it was in September. So in this case, you can apply for a fellowship to go in postdoc in a private company, and they will support and fund several postdoc for this. So it can be an opportunity if in your field it's not so obvious and it's not so frequent to have postdoc in this field. Perhaps it can be an opportunity if you knock at the door of a company saying, oh, I would like to apply. Here is my CV, my skills, hard and soft skills, and I really would like to do a postdoc in a private company in your field. Perhaps we could apply together for this. You apply on your name, but you need to have agreement of the company. So it can be a possibility, Laurie. I don't know. You should check on this. And just to also add something, you ask about the switch between public and private, academia and private. It's the same. Perhaps it's not true for all the field, but I know in everything related to biology, the switch is possible. You can start with a postdoc in public sector, in academia. You do a postdoc in France or everywhere in the world. And after your postdoc, even a long postdoc, you can switch to a private company and get a job as a project manager, lab head, or whatever the name of the position. And the opposite, if you are doing a postdoc in a private company or you start having a job in a private company, you can go back. I think it was last year we had one of our mentors, Karine Cambon. She did this. She did a postdoc in academia, and after she got a job in a private company, and it was a startup, and she was not really happy. It was not working well. The company was not performing also very well. And she decided to go back, and she found another postdoc. And she had already a lot of years of experience after her PhD, but she found a postdoc to go back to academia, and now she has a position as a researcher at CA. So it's possible. What is the most difficult? It's if you spend too many years in this kind of position, in academia going to industry or industry going to academia. If you spend 10 years as postdoc, it will be more challenging to switch to a private company because you have a lot of experience, and what they are a lot of times thinking, at least the feedback I got, is they think you are not flexible anymore, malleable anymore. They like when people are young because we are coming back at what Sophie and everybody was saying at the beginning. When you are young, you are able to learn everything. When we are older, it's the same, but people don't have the same expectation and don't think you are as flexible as when you are young. So take advantage of this. When you are young, they are open to let you learn whatever you want. So if you want to switch, if you want to stay in your field, but from academia to private company, it will be possible. So.
Just to go on what you say, I spent 18 years in healthcare, and I succeeded to have a HDR, so habitation dirigée de recherche. So it was difficult to get this level because doing research and publication and everything, teaching, etc. During being a GE employee, it's something that you need really to plan and spend time for that. But I succeeded to have this HDR, and 2 years after the habilitation, I succeeded also to have a full position of professor at University of Strasbourg. I finally declined the position for many other reasons, but it was possible for me to become a professor at university. So.
Laurie.
Sorry. Go, Géraldine.
No, it was to ask Laurie if we at least answer most of her questions she asked at the beginning.
Yes, you did. But I have other questions, but I saw some questions on the chat, so maybe it could be before me.
And there is also something after Maya Bentifala connected. So at one point, we will later also introduce ourselves. But so is there any question?
There is one question from Inara. I don't know if you do you want to ask your question yourself, Inara?
Hello, I'm Inara. I do a PhD in biophysics, and my question was mostly related about the main stereotypical fact about private companies, which is that you lack freedom, especially for researchers. Companies do not allow most researchers to do the work they want and how they want it to be, or ethically more discutable than what, and it's not really what they wanted. So yeah, my question was that I do right now a PhD in biophysics. I really love what I'm doing, and I'm willing to give all the time and all my time, all my life for this type of work, especially because I am very interested in what I'm doing. The issue is if I'm not interested anymore, I'm not willing to give that time, that effort, and I need to be interested in what I'm doing. And what if you join a private company and you're not doing anymore something you wanted? Why? I mean, how often does this happen? How do you face those type of things, and what to do basically if this happens?
It's a pretty simple question, in my opinion, and very often we have this question. So if you go into a company, a private company, you need to know, to understand that the company is building some product. So it can be a soft product or hard product. So, and the objective is to sell the product, to impact the society in some way. And if you join this company, you have to accept the mission. So it's a kind of contract between you and the company. And if this contract is not what you want to do because you want to do research and in such a direction, etc., don't go to this company. So you should probably work to have a research position where you'll be the director of research and you will define kind of topics you want to develop and find the funding to develop this research. And you'll see that you will spend 50% of your time in finding the funding. Not very appealing for you today, probably, but it's part of the job for researcher. But again, if you go to a private company, you have to understand what they are developing, what will be the impact of the product, and if you accept to be part of the adventure. And your question is it often that we have some kind of contradiction between what we want to do and what the company is proposed to do? Yes, of course, it happens pretty often. And then each time it happens, you have to ask you the question, okay, is it something that I can move with the company and maybe it will change and I will impact the company in the direction that will be a benefit for me and the company, or is it too difficult for me and then you'd have to change?
May I beg your pardon? You have another choice. You can you can know that you are not interested anymore in what your company proposes you in terms of research, not from a day to another. Maybe if you feel that you are not so interested as you used to, you can try to change, as Serge just say, to change the direction of the research. But on the other hand, you can look after another job in the company who can interest you also. And it can be an easy way to change in a very comfortable way with one feet in the same company. You know the person, you know the company, and you can change and to add another field in your resume. But after, if there is no chance to find a topic that interests you, you can resign. But it's a contract. But before, it can be a chance when a door is closed, 10 doors open. It can be a chance for you to expand your knowledge and your fields of competence.
Thank you. I really like what you're saying, because what's something that didn't strike me in the beginning when we speak about private sector is that they listen to us. I am saying that only because I started a PhD previously that was linked with the private sector. I was doing chemistry, and actually they were leading a lot my project, and I didn't like that. And the way they were leading it was not for me relevant, and I had better for me ways to do it, but they were not their ways, so they were not happy about that. So that's why I had those type of stereotypical thought about private sectors. But thank you for letting me know that I have other choices and they might listen. I mean, depends of course on the companies I end up in, so it's not necessarily only bad. So thank you.
If you're a startup, it will be difficult because there is no so many people. It's small companies, they are at the beginning. If you are in big companies, you can switch from one department to another and change your job. A lot of people are doing this. After 2-3 years, sometimes they ask to change, to learn something new or to develop new skills or whatever.
Yes, it's there are a lot of drawback in a big companies, but there is a main point that you can in the same company try a lot of jobs. So in a small company, it's not the same case. Everything has a drawback and advantage.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
And may I just add something important, I think, is, Inara, coming back to what you like to do. I mean, I really think that research is something important. I mean, you are passionate about what you are doing, but I think also the human environment is important. Being, working with people you trust, you respect, you admire somehow, working in a team. I think also the teamwork is important. I wanted to raise this as well, because I know that in your research, most of you are working on your own and you are very lonely on your research. Teamwork is very important in private company, in public company as well, but especially in private company. So it is something to integrate. So, all these elements, people you work with, the teamwork can make you change somehow. And you are passionate about something today, but then within 5 or 10 years, it may move. You may figure out that, what you think was extremely relevant to, I don't know, to the science or for the people may have changed, and you may be interested in another subject. So I just think it's difficult you see, my advice will be passionate, be focused, but stay open and also appreciate people, learn teamwork, and learn how to take the best of people you work with.
Thank you, Frédéric. André, raise your hand for a while. André, can I just make you wait a few more minutes to have Maya introduce herself? Like that, you will know her profile, and perhaps we will have other questions afterward. And Marie-France is leaving. Thank you very much, Anne-France. Sorry, Anne-France.
Merci beaucoup, Anne-France. Bonne soirée.
D'avoir été là, et désolé, c'est passé tellement vite.
Yeah, so hello everyone. So I'm Maya Ben-Fala. I did my PhD at GIF Sorivet au CNRS, and then second half of my PhD was in Mersenne in COA. So after doing my PhD, I went into my PhD was in biochemistry. Then I went into consulting. So I worked as a consultant for a little over a year. And then after that, I created my own biotech company. So my company is focused on producing dairy proteins through precision fermentation in order to provide the dairy industry with a new raw material that they can then transform into cheese and other dairy products. So I created the company. I quit my job January 2021, and we officially created the company. We joined Genopol, which is a startup incubator, to do a proof of concept. Then once we succeeded at that, we were able to raise our first public funds and then create the company in the summer of 2021. So now it's been almost more than 4 years since I've been doing this, but almost 4 years of officially managing the company. We are based in Genopol in Évry in Ile-de-France, so we're around 15 or so people in the team. Pretty much everyone is a scientist. So yeah, going back to what you were saying, Gerardine, unfortunately in small startups, if you're not a right fit for the role that you agreed upon in the beginning, there are very few chances that you'll be able to find another position within that company, unless they're more of kind of a scale up and they have, many different large departments, and that could eventually be more reasonable. But the goal is also in a startup, you can better understand what are you trying to do. You have a better chance of maybe actually having more control of your project. So yeah, so happy to talk to anyone about entrepreneurship. It's a ride, but it's also very cool. And yeah, also can talk about consulting.
Thank you, Maya. So before to continue, we will take the question of André. She's waiting for a while.
Yes, hi. I'm sorry, now that you presented yourself, and I know a little bit about Genopol because my mother is creating a startup there. She's like in the program for the
Which one is it?
GenIO.
Yeah, but what's her project?
Oh, she's been working for like 20 years in Colombia about her research. She's like research on cancer for medicinal like Colombian plants to work on like cancer and stuff like that. I'm like simplifying everything, but it's like 20 years of the research. So But I'm talking about this because you weren't here when Lori was talking about like postdocs in the private sectors. And I know that Genopol has like a program where you can like do some postdocs in the startups in Genopol. So maybe you and Lori can talk about that.
So we used to have Marie Curie funding that was able to bring central postdocs to startups, but right now that funding has not been reallotted for the next year. So I don't know yet if we'll have that same Marie Curie funding. It was under ApoJBO and it had been around for a while. So I can't say yet if that'll exist. So generally companies could still hire you in a CDD potentially, or, you know, a CDI, and then you could just choose to leave if you want to just kind of see what it's like. But yeah, right now I don't know of anything official at this point.
Okay. Yeah, so that wasn't my question initially, but my question was twofold and in very different fields. So the first one that is more realistic for me is that if you want to do research in a company, oh, I'm sorry, I was talking about something else and now I forgot my question. Oh my God. Okay, the second one, I'm sorry. The second one was more about like if I want to change lives and like go into consulting or manager or something like that. I know that you talk about a lot of soft skills and stuff like that, but I really want to know how like realistic it is to compete with like someone that's coming from HEC or like managing course or something like that. I like that because I'm doing like a PhD in applied mathematics. So like all the soft skills that I would be competing, it's still mathematics. So we're like in our corner doing our stuff. So I would really want to know how realistic it is to compete with all the people that could have more experience in that.
You'd be surprised when you see people, sometimes a CV is not everything. You can bring a lot more to the table than I think you're giving yourself credit for. And you can try and you can work on those soft skills. So yeah, don't assume that just because someone has a particular degree that they have more than you and that you don't have that. You can work to build that, and you can work to improve it, and you can ask for feedback and you know, prove to them that you, if you are not at their expectations yet, that you will be soon.
Yes. And I would like on this, you know, Andre, is that I think I mean, it's very important to really be aware of your key skills and really to sell it and to know, you know, where you need progress and to balance both. And I would say that, you know, the beauty of the new age of now, and also the beauty of diversity in many companies, that diversity is not only about background, diversity is also about skills. And I had the chance to work in teams, in product team, for example, with people coming from different background, different education, different skills, and it's extremely rich. So, I mean, I can, you know, imagine that in a company, they will hire you for your key skills, you know, of research. And you may have a colleague from HEC or ESSEC, you know, with all the soft skills you are mentioning. So it's just a matter of, you know, balancing skill, learning from each other, but I think the key thing is trust yourself. Trust yourself, be positive, and you will make it. I mean, you did all of you did fantastic. I mean, what you did in terms of education is just amazing and outstanding. So trust yourself and know what you want to do, and be strong and trust yourself. Don't be arrogant, of course, but trust yourself.
You rough it, like say L'Oréal.
Exactement. Voilà. Vous le valez bien. Absolument.
and in fact, so I was manager.
On vous a perdu,
Yeah.
Stéphane.
Okay. So I was manager of a research team as well. So I was not trained to be a manager, to become a manager. So I had to find in my personality what was interesting to be a manager and a good manager. So you have soft skills. You need to think, okay, am I interested to help other people to grow? So this is really, in my opinion, what a manager should do.
Exactly.
And you have some skills in terms of physics, applied mathematics, fine. And if you want to be a manager of people doing finance, maybe you'll not be the best person to do that. But if you become a manager in the technical field, of a team working in technical field, then I don't see any barrier that preclude you to do so. So if you are interested to grow other people, fine, go ahead.
In addition, if you allow me to speak about my experience, I belong from business school, and I have to I am the mother of Apple Pay in France. I am the first bank which launched Apple Pay in France was my bank. With my team, I work with technical person, with international company. I have never worked before with Californian and a big Californian like Apple. And they have big head, like, as you can imagine. And I was a poor French. And I used to work with Visa, a big company, but a friendly company with our bank. I work with financial, with my big boss, etc. My business school didn't learn me how to do that. If you can remember, j'ai été diplômée.
I graduated.
I was graduated a lot of years before the birth of a smartphone.
Yeah,
so
sure.
The smartphone appeared in 2007. I am a dinosaur. I was graduate before 2000, but in 2015, I launched Apple Pay. So if you are focused, like we have just said, on the objective, and I was very focused, very focused on the objectives, very proud to be the first bank to launch Apple Pay with my partner Visa. I work a lot, yes. And I was very focused to say, I understand the data engineer, I understand the jurist, I understand the financial director. But I didn't learn before because a smartphone appeared just 7 years before. So everything, when you want, you can learn everything. But if you love people, and if you take your people with you, your team leader say, yeah, come with it. We are going to be the first. We are going to success, etc. And if you work, it is possible.
Yeah.
Yes,
it's a great point. And just to complete on Sophie said is that, coming back to my previous point, it's all about the team. The team that Sophie was able to beat. I mean, we worked with Sophie together at that time. The team that Sophie was able to beat was a great diverse team with people from different fields, from technical, from finance, from product, from IT. And then you work like a chef d'orchestre, you see?
Yes.
And so, again, you are smart, you know how to learn, and it will come. It will come. It's common sense sometimes. It's not so complicated. Sometimes it's just, basic common sense.
And just adding really pragmatically, don't overestimate those soft skill words. I mean, are you adaptable, for example? Are you able to switch from one country to another one, to one culture to another one? You mentioned Colombia, for example, but I'm pretty sure that's the same for the other girls. Within your work, are you able to gather a lot of data, analyze them, take out the right extract, and then deliver the right outputs? That's what the industry is looking for. And that's something that you're doing through your work. And even use as Maya said, use your out of the work experience. Are you planning holidays? Are you able to manage a holiday, program? Are you able to engage the others? Let's say, yes, we're going to this country all together. We need a plan. We need an organization and so on. Just use those examples that will show that you have the right spirit.
And if I may add something quickly, true example. Years ago at Visa, I had a great colleague. He was the head of IT for Visa in the London office. And his background was a PhD in geography in Oxford. So it shows you that he graduated, with his PhD in geography in Oxford. I don't know what he did, in the first years, and then he joined Visa. And the guy was just great. He was very smart. He was very good. And he was one of the top guy and top leader of Visa in Europe. So, I mean, I would say, the world is open.
The world is open, but especially with kind of English-based people. American English are really open-minded to let you transition. In Europe, the mentality is a little bit more old age, and it's a little bit more difficult to let you transition. But I will repeat what I said before. If you are young, take advantage of this because people will let you transition. The older you will get, the more difficult it will be to be able to do this switch. If you are not in the I don't know how to say the
English-speaking companies.
English-speaking country more open.
But the time
you can do whatever you want.
Time change. Sorry to interrupt you, Geraldine. As en français, time change. In my company, they pray to hire young people, and they adapt. Even if it is a French company, time are changing. Take advantage of your youth and the changing time because they need young graduated people.
So in the chat, there is a question from Blondine, more for Maya, about the consulting, because Maya said after the PhD, she did 1 year of consulting. So would you give advice to people who like research to go in consulting field?
So I loved my consulting work. I only left because the field I'm working in now is the field that I had always wanted to work in, but I never found a job in this field, so I had to create it. But consulting was really interesting, especially following a PhD, because at least in the work that I did, the shortest projects lasted around 2 weeks, and the longest ones were maybe around 3 to 6 months. And so it allowed you to do deep dives into new subjects. So just to give you kind of a step back, in the team of consultants in my group, most people had either an engineering degree, a PhD, postdocs, and basically oftentimes pharmaceutical companies, because I was in the pharma unit, would ask us and say, okay, we have a particular question, and then they would need us to look into it. An example was, for example, a pharmaceutical company who wanted someone to help them prepare their presentations on a very detailed subject for a conference. And so the consultant was doing a deep dive into literature, synthesizing all the data, preparing the presentation, and then they were helping, the CEO of this huge pharmaceutical company, have very strong scientific data to present to a very esteemed audience. We also did quite a lot of other work, doing deep dives into various topics, because they would have a question about what's really happening in this particular disease. Is this the target? So, sometimes there are deep dives like that. Other times I did also a lot of work, wasn't exactly like, scientific research. Like I went to hospitals and I talked with doctors and talked with nurses and understood like the patient pathway, how do patients go through it. So it's not research in that same sense of, which protein is doing what and what, et cetera, but it's still research and it's still presenting. I made a game, by the way, to train the teams to understand the pathway so they could better sell to doctors. So it's still about understanding the real pathway and what they're doing, and then finding a way to make that more fun. So those are just some examples of different ways, but honestly I thought it was very cool and a nice change in scenery from a PhD where you're just so one topic for so long. So again, I don't know my company's experience. I don't know how it is in all, but we were very much, we were doing quite a lot of science. Sometimes we had some others where we were kind of more preparing some seminars, and so it was a little bit less sciencey, or I had to look and see, for example, there was a problem with a medication and I had to look and see what could consumers find about this information to make sure that information was properly addressed to them. So that's not like, doing deep research, but it's still important. It's to make sure that the consumers, have the information they need in various countries and languages. So yeah, basically the topics are very diverse, and yeah, I do recommend it. But it's like many jobs, whenever you have intense periods, you'll have generally around 2 to 3 weeks of very intense work. You'll be working late, you have to meet deadlines, and then other times where it's a little bit calmer. But it's not a place to go if you're looking for, a easy work-life balance, 9 to 5. That's not consulting. That's not startup life either.
Thank you, Maya. There is another question in the chat from Blandine, more targeting to Serge, I think, because when you have a job in a big company, for probably at the beginning, at least for a certain task, you're hired. So she say, if you really like to kind of transmit some knowledge and to teach, can you get a job and continue to interact and teaching, for example, at the university or somewhere in school? And so she's asking if you, at the moment you are in the recruitment process, if I understood correctly, you can talk about it, about this willing to continue to teach a little bit on the side, or it's not well perceived to talk about this because you will not be focused enough on the job you will be hired for?
So short answer, yes, talk about it. Longer answers, I will give you my own experience. So I started to teach 12 months after I was hired, and I'm still teaching today. And I spent 20 years to lead the image processing modules in Supelec. So even when I was working for GE. So in my opinion, if a university or an engineering school is asking you to teach, it's a recognition of your expertise. So this is something you can and you should value to your employers. If you are not yet hired by a company, you should say, okay, yes, I'd like to transmit to other people, and I'd like to teach inside the company, because sometimes it's important also to transmit inside the company your expertise, and outside. And what you have to discuss then, it's the most important point. It depends on the company. Are you allowed to teach during your working time, or should you do it during your vacation time? So for me, I was allowed to do it during my working time. And the reason why was double, in fact, because my manager did it already, and because it's an excellent means also for the company to access to trainees and to PhD students. So when you go to an engineering school or university, you can also do kind of advertisement of your company and the activity of your company. You can propose training topics. So it should be valued by the company. So this is at least my experience.
Thank you very much, Serge. Blandine, I think we answer your question. If you have more questions, don't hesitate to ask it. And if other Monty have question, we are at the end of the time we set up, but we can, if people are still a little bit available, we can spend 5 more minutes. If there is important question, don't hesitate to ask them. No question. Can I just ask a question to Maya? Because, so you said at the beginning, it's a field, this field of dairy product development and everything. You were very interested, but you didn't find a job in a company in this field. So you took the job as consultant because probably you were hired, so it was better than nothing, and you enjoy it anyway. But how you did the switch to have this consultant? And so I assume in the same time you were continuing to look at what you could do in your field of dairy development product. So how was the switch done between the consulting and starting your own company?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been following this field in my free time, and so have been looking into it for some time. And I met my co-founder at an event that I attended. That was the first event on using biotechnology to create products that are alternatives, that are independent from animal agriculture. And so, yeah, we just started talking, and then realized that we could be a good fit. She has more of a finance business background. And yeah, we realized that there was this incubator where we could go and do a proof of concept and start something, and that it was basically now or never if I wanted to work in this field. So yeah, it was really more of a question of opportunity. So, finding someone to work with, or finding a lab to start something. So if there is something that you're passionate about, honestly, Genopole is a great place to start if you're interested in entrepreneurship. There's also Entrepreneur First, which is a group that connects people who want to start companies and helps them find co-founders. Genopole doesn't really help you find a co-founder, they just give you access to labs. So these are both, I would say, good resources in France, and Entrepreneur First is also in other cities in the world to help you if you're interested in that. But if there's a topic or even a company that you're interested in, don't give up. Even if you don't get a job right away, come back to them, apply for a future position, contact them, and yeah, hopefully you'll be able to get something at some point.
So at the Genopole, it was an opportunity to have some lab space to start experiment, and you also apply for a grant of fellowship or something
After this,
for
yes.
startup
They have
starting.
a program called the Shaker, which allows project, basically anyone who has a project before the company is created, you can you go through a jury, and if you're selected, you have access to 6 months that you can renew once. You get money to purchase consumables, you get assistance, and you get access to a fully equipped lab. And different technical platforms. So you can create a proof of concept, and then from there you can go on to ask for public funding from French public bank, and then from there you can go and get private funding. So that's what allowed us to get started. And then once we had the public and private funding, then we could build our team and our lab and etc.
So you got money from BPI, BPE, and all this stuff funding the startups to start.
Yes.
Okay.
And the first places are actually generally Wilco or Réseau Entreprendre. Those are kind of the first. There are no interest loans, and that gives you that basically gives you your first cash. It counts as cash, and then the BPI will match it to a certain degree. But you need to have cash on hand, and those no interest loans count as cash. And those you have to go through an application process in order to get them. But it's doable.
But a lot of work, a lot of investment of yourself.
If you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to really love what you're doing, because it's a lot of work.
So
but you also get to do exactly what you want and create something that you really believe in. And yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's a very cool opportunity.
So it looks like the PhD, a lot of investment of your time, of yourself in what you like to do, in fact.
Yes. Except I haven't done experiments in years though, so but some of my other colleagues who are also CTOs, they still do some experiments. It's up to you to decide what do you want to do with your days. You could hire someone to help you with the admin, etc., and other kind of operations, so you can do more experiments if you want to be doing that. It's really, you get to pick.
Juste, merci Frédéric, parce que tout le monde est...
Non, avec plaisir.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you all. that was, congrats and happy to further help. So, merci beaucoup, à bientôt et plein de bonnes choses. Merci, au revoir.
Bonne soirée.
Merci, bonne soirée.
That's all right. So, did we answer all the question of everybody, or is there really a last question very important? So nobody is raising hands or taking the microphone. So I think we did, we answer all the questions. So I would like to thank everybody for attending the panel discussion tonight. It was really nice. Thank you. So we have Serge and Maya still here. Thank you very much for your time and for coming and telling your story, your past, scientific past, and the switch to a private company. Thank you very much. Thanks for all the Monty who were here. And so we hope to see you next time for the next panel discussion or the next workshop. And just I add, because we discussed a little bit on how to switch from public sector to private company, the networking is very, very important. And so in October, we will have a workshop on networking, how to develop, how to maintain your network, because nowadays it's really the most important. I assume Serge and Maya, perhaps you can confirm this, especially in the private sector. Networking, we always hear about, I think I'm not saying something wrong, the gray market, when you have like, we hear 70-80% of the job don't go in advertisement. In fact, they are already taken by networking, but people knowing somebody else and referred and recommended. So networking is really, really important now at our period of time.
At least as a mentor, I insist very much on the fact that when you are doing your PhD, and especially the last year, you need really to build your network. You need to build your network when you go to workshop or to such a similar event, meet people and try to be connected through LinkedIn, for example, or through other type of job network, let's say. Yes, it's extremely important that you advertise yourself, in fact, through the networking.
Okay. So thank you very much, everyone. I wish you a very nice evening and see you next time for the next event.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.